emergency communication is very important to save lives and reduce injuries. Emergency communication is also important to protect our properties and the environment, to facilitate tactical responses, to seek public's cooperation and instill public's confidence, and to provide information to help families reunite. But what about if disasters come? In December 2011, Typhoon Sendong or Washi brought havoc to the northern parts of Mindanao in the cities of Cagayan de Oro and Iligan. In November 2013, Super Typhoon Yolanda or Haiyan struck the central parts of the Philippines, claiming more than 6,000 lives and a few more thousands missing, while destroying billions of pesos worth of properties and infrastructure. And in July 2014, Typhoon Glenda or Ramasun hit the southern part of Luzon, the Bicol region, southern Tagalog, Metro Manila, and some parts of central Luzon, claiming at least 100 lives and likewise destroying vital infrastructure. In these three disasters, vital infrastructure such as electricity and communications network were rendered unusable. Telephone poles and lines, cellular networks were down. Modern communication were of no use. It was very difficult to coordinate government and private sector response in these areas. A few days before Yolanda made landfall in Samar, we, the members of the Philippine Amateur Radio Association, or PARA, were already monitoring or on standby in the emergency frequency assigned by the National Telecommunications Commission. In that afternoon, at around 2 o'clock, I was already in my station in Santo Tomas monitoring the frequency. And at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I heard a very, very faint voice coming out of my radio saying, CQ, 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 this is Delta Uniform 5, Alpha Oscar Kilo, calling CQ. That was Nathan Ia Miguel, Delta Uniform 5, Alpha Oscar Kilo. I immediately responded by saying, Delta Uniform 5, Alpha Oscar Kilo, this is Delta Uniform 1, Romeo November Alpha. Go ahead, Nathan. How are you? Members of the Philippine Amateur Radio Association, headed by its Chief Operating Officer, Telma Pascua, Delta Uniform 1, India Victor Tango, took over the communication and spoke with Nathan. The first message that came out of Tacloban was, please send body bags. Please send body bags. That was a message relayed by Nathan from his station to the Philippine Amateur Radio Association headquarters from a request coming from another radio amateur, Dr. Lori Ruetas, Delta Whiskey 5, Lima Romeo Yankee, who was stationed at the Romualdez Hospital. She said that the available cadaver bags in the hospital were not enough for the victims of Yolanda in Tacloban City alone. Upon hearing of the report that Nathan and his group had a working communications facility, the Tacloban City Police Office requested them to bring the equipment to the police station for their use. Nathan and company willingly did so. But immediately after that, Delta X-Ray 5 Romeo Alpha November, or DX5 RAN, the club where Nathan belonged, set up another field station in the vicinity of the Romualdez Hospital using a truck battery as its power source and a dipole antenna tied to one end tied to a coconut tree and the other end tied to a fallen electrical post. From there, they relayed information about Tacloban's state and also relayed welfare messages to the relatives of the victims in other parts of the Philippines. In Rojas City, Capiz, two other amateurs, Iver Astronomo, Delta Victor 5, India Lima Alpha, and Arnel Van Aleligay, Delta Victor 6, Whiskey Alpha Victor, set up a field station in the Capitol building, from where they help coordinate response and relief efforts not only in the province of Capiz, but in the entire island of Panay. In Borongan, Eastern Samar, a New Zealand national, Lester Price, Delta Victor 6, Delta Victor 5, Papa Oscar, using only a 5-watt transmitter, sent Morse code messages which were received by Max Santos, 4 Foxtrot 1, Bravo Yankee November, who then relayed the messages to the para headquarters and to the NDR-RMC. These stations also provided the means by which the survivors of Yolanda relayed messages to their relatives in Luzon and other parts of the Philippines. These messages were messages of survival, the destruction of their properties, the lack of food and water, and even the demise of some family members. We who are in the safer parts of the Philippines used our cellular phones to contact these relatives and relay to them the messages. The most difficult message to relay was the loss of a loved one. I even had a chance to call someone to tell her that her mother did not survive Yolanda. And as the late Bob Garcia, Delta Uniform 6, Bravo Golf, of Iloilo City would say, hindi ko kaya ito. When Glenda hit Los Banos, in the afternoon, I was already coordinating with UPLB's University Police Force and Community Service Brigade to preposition them and prepare for Glenda's onslaught. At 10 o'clock in that evening, electricity was already out of the campus. We didn't have electricity. And at around 11 o'clock in the evening, I noticed that the biggest branch of a very beautiful Nara tree, which was just about 10 meters away from my house, was already swaying very wildly. I woke up my youngest daughter in her bedroom and asked her to transfer to our bedroom. And in less than 1 minute, this branch fell on our house, totally damaging our roof and a larger part of the house. Our bedroom was the only part left undamaged. I immediately went to my landline to call the UPF and ask for assistance, but to no avail, just to find out that our telephone line was already cut. Fortunately, I was using a 12-volt solar power system, and my antenna was practically undamaged. I used my radio station to ask for assistance from the University Police Force and the CSBs. And from then on, all rescue, relief, rehabilitation, and recovery efforts were coordinated using these two-way radios. After which, I even had the opportunity to relay situational reports from Los Banos and nearby municipalities to the NDRRMC and PARA. I started with a ham radio hobby in the late 1990s using only a portable radio, an ICOM IC02 Alpha Tango. Later on, I homebrewed my own antenna using the J-pole configuration to get more power out of my radio and to cover a larger distance. But through the years, I was able to buy or procure newer equipment like newer transceivers, linear amplifiers, and antenna system, and I even built my own tower for my antenna. Though this equipment are readily available in the market, we hams homebrew our own equipment. I actually homebrewed my own Morse code keyer and dipole and Yagi antennas. Now, what comprises a ham radio station? A ham radio station consists only of three basic components: a reliable power supply, a transceiver with a microphone or a Morse code keyer, and an antenna with a transmission line. For emergency or field operations, we also have go kits, and we carry with us portable radios for short distance communications, which we can link to a repeater station if there is one in the area. Ham radio does not rely on pre-established communications grids and massive infrastructure to communicate, and in order for it to work, we ham radios can use a very wide radio spectrum assigned to the UHF, VHF, and HF bands. Unlike cellular phones, which is only limited to a single frequency. We can operate anywhere, from the luxury of our house in our fixed stations to a field station, or we can even go portable or mobile on board our vehicles. Ham radio carries a lot more power, from a 5 watts of a portable radio to a maximum of 2,500 watts for a base station. And more importantly, ham radio is cheaper. You don't have to pay your network carrier a monthly subscription fee or on a per-call basis. In closing, let me quote Alan Pitts of the American Radio Relay League, who said that the fastest way to turn a crisis into a total disaster is to lose communications. From the earthquake and tsunami in Japan to the tornadoes in Missouri, ham radio provided the most reliable communications networks in the first critical hours of the events. Because ham radios are not dependent on other infrastructure, they work when nothing else is available. This is Genaro Cuaresma, Delta Uniform 1, Romeo November Alpha, saying, when all else fails, ham radio works. Mabuhay tayong lahat.